Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hi Krishna, dear devotees, welcome to our ISKCON Bulla official YouTube channel. Today I am going to discuss Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto, 13th chapter, text 26 onwards. This is regarding Krishna's reciprocation with the mothers of Braja and cows. So, Brajokasam Srotokesu Snehavalli Abdam Anvaham Shani Nisima Vibrude Jatha Krishne tu Apurvavat. That means, although the inhabitants of Brajabhumi, the cowherd men and cowherd women, previously had more affection for Krishna than for their own children, now for 1 year their affection for their own sons continuously increased, for Krishna had now become their sons. There was no limit to the increment of their affection for their sons, who were now Krishna. Every day they found new inspirations for loving their children as much as they loved Krishna. So in the purport, Sri Vishwanath Thakur says, previously the Brajavasis had more love for Krishna than for their own children. Now for 1 year the affection of the mothers for their sons, who were actually Krishna, grew like a creeper more and more. Their affection for Krishna became very increasingly fresh. Here the word Krishna should be understood to be repeated again, though it is mentioned only once in the verse. Why did the mother's love for Krishna increase even more? Because Krishna is the Ansi, the original possessor of all power and beauty, and his expansions as the cowherd boys are answer in relation to his beauty and other qualities. Therefore, the sentence could read as follows: as much as they had love for Krishna previously, their love for their sons increased to that degree. But their love for Krishna personally now increased even more. Or the sentence can mean as much as their love for their sons increased, so their love for Krishna increased even more. In this interpretation, the word Krishna doesn't need repetition. So, in the next verse, that is verse 27, it is said that Itham Atma Atmana Manam Vatsapala Misena sa Palayan Vatsapo Varsam Chikride Vanagoshtayavo. That means, in this way, Lord Sri Krishna, having himself become the cowherd boys and groups of calves, maintained himself by himself. Thus he continued his pastimes both in Vrindavan and in the forest for 1 year. In the purport, the disciples of Srila Prabhupada Maharaj say that everything was Krishna. The calves, the cowherd boys, and their maintainer himself were all Krishna. In other words, Krishna expanded himself in varieties of calves and cowherd boys and continued his pastimes uninterrupted for 1 year. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna's expansion is situated in everyone's heart as the super soul. Similarly, instead of expanding himself as the super soul, he expanded himself as a portion of calves and cowherd boys for 1 continuous year. So, in the next verse, that is verse 28, it is said that Ekada Charan Vatsan Sarama Vanam Avisat Pancha Sasu Trijamasu Hayana Pura Nisu Aja. That means one day, 5 or 6 nights before the completion of the year, Krishna, tending the calves, entered the forest along with Balaram. Here it will be revealed 1 year. Then the purport, the disciples of Srila Prabhupada Maharaj say that up to him, this time, even Balaram was captivated by the bewilderment of that covered Brahma. Even Balaram didn't know that all the calves and cowherd boys were expansions of Krishna, or that he himself was an expansion of Krishna. This was disclosed to Balaram just 5 or 6 days before the completion of the year. So, Sanatana Goswami in Vaishnava Toshani says, Rama means he who gives pleasure to Krishna and others. So Krishna usually went to the forest with Balaram. By going with him on this occasion, Krishna had a specific purpose. Or in other words, in order to hide truth for a year, generally he didn't take Balaram. They entered thick forest near Govardhan. He was not born from a womb, but simply manifested himself in this world, Aja. But though he did come from a womb, he was a son. This way, the next verse 29 says, Tato vidura charato gavo vatsan gobrajam govardhanadri siraso charantyo dasruso strinam. That means, therefore, thereafter, while pasturing atop Govardhan Hill, the cows looked down to find some green grass and saw their calves pasturing near Vrindavan, not very far away. So, Sripad Vishwanath Thakur in Sarada Darshan says that Govardhan Sringe Trunam Charantu Gava Tasmad Abhidurag Brajasya Nikate Charato Vatsan Dadrishta. While grazing atop Govardhan Hill, the cows looked down to find some tender green grass and saw their calves pasturing nearby in Braja. In the next verse, verse 30, it is said that Društva tat sneha baso smritatma sago brajo tatmapa durga margaha dvipa kakut griva udasya pucho agad dhunkrutei ashru prayajavena. That means when the cows saw their own calves from the top of Govardhan Hill, they forgot themselves and their caretakers because of increased affection. And although the path was very rough, they ran toward their calves with great anxiety, each running as if with one pair of legs. Their milk bags full and flowing with milk, their heads and tails raised, and their arms moving with their necks, they ran forcefully until they reached their calves to feed them. So, and the purport, it is said that generally the calves and cows are pastured separately. The elderly men take care of the cows, and the small children see to the calves. This time, however, the cows immediately forgot their position as soon as they saw the calves below Govardhan Hill, and they ran with great force, their tails erect and their front and hind legs joined until they reached their calves. Balaram was astonished. For 1 year, Balaram didn't understand this fact. We'll see, we'll say it. So, Sanatana Goswami in Bhavat, Okay, the next verse, verse 31, it said, Samitya gavo adho vatsan vatsavatyopi apayan gilantya eva changani lihantya sodhasam payaha. That means the cows had given birth to new calves, but while coming down from Govardhan Hill, the cows, because of interested affection for their older calves, allowed the older calves to drink milk from their milk bags and then began licking the calves' bodies in anxiety as if he wanting to swallow them. This is the love of Godhead. Then the purport. Vishwanath Thakur says that although the cows had given birth to new calves, they had more affection for their older calves. Thus they came down from Govardhan Hill to feed the older calves, the milk pouring from their udders. In great anxiety, they repeatedly licked the calf's body as if wanting to swallow them. This was noticed by Balaram, and he will see, will think of the Lord. Anyway, thank you very much for listening to this lecture, and please don't forget to subscribe, share, and like our channel. Engage the blessings of the Lord. Hare Krishna.